Hey guys, today we are going over Unit 1, Lesson 3. It's called A Tale of Two Orange Groves, and it's really talking about the two big powerhouses of oranges and citrus in the United States, and that would be Florida and California. Now, don't get disheartened. Texas is a very close number 3 down in the valley, so near Mexico, that very tip of Texas. We do grow a lot of citrus. Does anybody know what citrus Texas is famous for in the valley? That would be the grapefruit. So the Texas grapefruit is a big deal for us. We are famous for it. That's actually our state fruit. So we aren't left out of the citrus game. However, we are behind Florida and California. So this just talks about how each of them kind of got started, and it's really interesting. So first it says that Florida's oranges make their way into 90% of orange juice consumed in the United States. That is crazy. So oranges are a huge economical resource for both of these states. They're very dependent on their citrus production. So it says Florida is only second to Brazil in world citrus production. That's crazy. Why do you think that Florida and California are going to be the states that have the most abundant citrus in the United States? And Brazil is in there because of climate, okay? So it is warmer in these areas. Fruit trees, and especially citrus trees. So citrus is not just oranges. It includes limes as well, grapefruit. They love warm weather. So they like it hot, and that's why, and humid. So that's why Florida and California do really well in the citrus game. Okay, so then it talks about California, which is close behind, and they produce 87% of the nation's lemons. So they have a lot of lemon trees. While Florida has California beat for oranges, citrus is one of California's most important crops. And so, and this tells you citrus is lemons, oranges, grapefruit, go Texas, limes, tangerines, and kumquats. Kumquat might have thrown you off there. Texas and Arizona are in third and fourth place. So we are right there. You may not know, Americans eat 24 pounds of citrus fruits annually. I think I'm below that because I'm not a big citrus person. Whenever it comes cold and flu season, I like to stay up on my oranges because vitamin C is really, really helpful for your immunity. But other than that, I'm not a huge citrus person. Okay, so it really talks about like how both those states really became popular in oranges. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but we're going to talk about some of the important facts and some cool things about it. So it all came around in the 1500s. Florida actually got theirs, and this is what it says, from Christopher Columbus. So if you remember, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Well, in 1493, from Asia, he brought oranges to the state. And that really introduced. So when he brought those oranges, what's inside those oranges? Seeds. From those seeds, they were able to grow those orange trees and turn into orange groves. A grove is a bunch of trees that are grown for agriculture. And they grew them along the coast where there was water because these fruit trees need a lot of water. Florida, they were occupied by the Seminole Indian tribe. And they had brutal wars, driven away a few Seminole, opening up Florida to two rising industries, cattle and cotton. And then their history was changed when pioneers in Orlando began planting citrus groves in 1870. And this really helped expand their agriculture industry because they were able to capitalize on something that nowhere else in the United States that far was able to produce. So it goes on to say they had two devastating freezes that reduced their crops from 5 million boxes a year to a mere 147,000. That is insane. That is a huge drop. The industry still will be impacted by freezes, any fruit industry. Like you may have noticed, there weren't a ton of peaches this year. That's because Georgia had a really warm winter and it affected the peach crop. So they'll still have it, but due to greenhouses and other things, we're not going to have that drastic of a change, but that is crazy. So it bounced back stronger than ever, and it's still a strong industry today. California, wasn't brought over by Christopher Columbus, but it was brought over by the Spanish. So a little bit later, about 300 years later, Spanish missionaries planted citrus fruits in the 1700s, and Mexican residents of what now is California, they began to cultivate these trees. William Wolfskill, this might be in a unit quiz. He was known as the granddaddy of the citrus industry. Okay. It says that citrus became really important. It's got a pirate there. If you know anything about pirates, they're associated with scurvy. Scurvy is an actual disease. And vitamin C, which is grown through citrus and oranges, helps ward off scurvy. So that's when it really started to become popular in the late 1800s. Then it goes on to talk about different varieties. So something really cool that you can do with fruit trees, and I've included a video on here of it, is called grafting. So grafting is when the shoot or bud of one plant is united with an established plant by putting navel orange buds on existing trees, stems, or roots. So you literally take a tree, cut it in half, put the root of another tree in it, and then you tape it up and you force that tree to grow that new branch. That is called grafting, and I've included a really cool video of that. So there's a picture of it right there where they've put some buds there, and it's just kind of a way of cheating the system. So you're not starting completely from scratch, you're piggybacking off of another plant. So it goes on to say that while Florida rules the orange juice industry, California citrus generates over $2 billion a year. So very, very important are these fruit trees. Navel oranges are the best-selling seedless variety in the country. So it says their farms and ranches are more than $50 billion for their output in 2019, making ag one of the most important industries in California, which is funny because a lot of people, when they think of California, they think of Hollywood, they think of cities, they don't think of agriculture. But California is a very huge agriculture state. We rely a lot on it. And so that's why it's very important that people know that agriculture is so important in California. So California also they do a lot more than citrus. Right here it says they are the leading or sole producer of many popular products: almonds, grapes, pistachios, broccoli, lettuce, strawberries. They lead the nation in dairy production, which you may think it's Wisconsin, but it is not. California produces over 99% of the nation's figs, dates, and walnuts. It's because their environment in California is so large, they have a lot of different climates. So you have Napa Valley, which is farther up north, where we've got grapes, and then down south, you've got your citrus production. So go through here and read all of the neat things about California agriculture. And then it just talks about both Florida and California's histories are intertwined with developments. They show how great crops can build communities. Their states really were built off of agriculture. So that's kind of what I want you to get out of this, is that agriculture is a very important, very booming, very popular industry. And so that's why it's so important that we have people that are working in it and that are pursuing careers in this. So pretty neat. And then I went and found a picture. Look, here's an example of an orange grove. So oranges grow on trees, if you didn't know. And there's just thousands and thousands of trees. So that's pretty cool. And Orange County, that's not by mistake. That is because it is the home of oranges. So you'll have an activity to do, and I've got a video on how to do that.